Hey guys, what's up? This is Kyle965 here, making part two of my video titled "My Frustration with Today's Wrestling." Yeah. So basically, I'm just gonna picking up where I left off. Part one, I talked about my frustrations in today's wrestling concerning WWE. Part two, here I'm talking about TNA. One of my problems with TNA that I have is that TNA always make these huge, big announcements, but the expectations are never met, when they make these big, huge announcements whatsoever. When TNA had announced, trying to think of something. Oh, we're going to change our name from, Impact Zone to Impact Wrestling. This is going to be a game changer. It's not going to longer be TNA, but they're still calling each other TNA. Like, why don't you just tell people that your overall company is still going to be called TNA, but you're just changing the brand of your show, which will be from Impact Zone to Impact Wrestling. But anyway, they say, okay, Impact Wrestling, yeah, they're going to give it a new, fresh look and everything else. And you look at it, and it looked like WCW Thunder made a love child with WWE's SmackDown. That's what Impact Wrestling looks like. It looks like the love child of SmackDown and Thunder. Okay? You take the six-sided ring out and put it in the four-sided ring. Okay? Now, a lot of hardcore TNA fans had a problem with this. I do think that it was one of the elements that made TNA unique and different from the competition. But, I didn't grab a complaint about it like a lot of, TNA fans did. But, okay, we got the four-sided ring because this is how wrestling was meant to be and it should be. So you got the four-sided ring, okay? And that does nothing to help elevate your company, okay? TNA, oh, guess what? We got the biggest name in wrestling history, the biggest acquisition ever in the company's history, which I agree. Hulk Hogan is a brand. Hulk Hogan is one of the biggest names of all-time professional wrestling, regardless of how much of a douchebag he is. It's a fact. Hulk Hogan is and will be one of the biggest powerhouse names in wrestling. So yeah, you can say Hogan is one of the biggest acquisitions TNA has acquired in their history. Okay, but Hulk Hogan hasn't done anything to help elevate the company whatsoever. Okay, you bring in guys like Kurt Angle, Sting, trying to think of the guy's name. Kurt Angle, Sting, Mr. Anderson. There we go. Mr. Anderson, Jeff Hardy, Mickey James. To name a few. Brian Kendrick. You bring all these guys in, Matt Hardy, Rob Van Dam. You bring all these other big names, all these big guys. These guys are going to be, game changers. These guys are going to really, take TNA to the next level. They haven't done anything for the company to help elevate it at all whatsoever. One of my frustrations with TNA, they make these big, huge announcements, make a huge, big deal out of it, and none of the stuff that they do lives up to the expectations that they set. Nothing. Another frustration I have with TNA, they do not know how to build or make their own talent look strong whatsoever. Every talent that TNA has gets buried, screwed, whatever you want to call it, undermined by former WWE, WCW guys. Why? It's like, okay, you have guys like AJ Styles, Beer Money, Jay Lethal, Daniels, whatever. These are guys who were with your company since the beginning. These were the guys that built the foundation of your company. Built the foundation of your company all the way to where it is now. These are the guys who worked in, worked out, worked their butts off day and night to take your company from nothing and make it into something. And now that it's something, or it can stand on its own 2 feet at least, you bring in a bunch of ex-WCW, WWE guys into the company and have them pretty much run the entire show, or like take over the power seat, and headlining pay-per-views and becoming multi-world champions. Why? I understand that you may want you want to bring some of the big names in to make your company more recognizable, because these guys have been any and everywhere, and they've had their chance to showcase their talents on the biggest stage with the lights on bright. Okay, so I can understand you may want to bring in these guys for recognition, but why use these guys who aren't your talent that you've made to squash your talent? That doesn't make any sense to me. That's very frustrating, and I think that's very unfair for a lot of the TNA talent that's in TNA. That it's like, if I was a guy in TNA, if I was a wrestler in TNA, one of the guys, one of the originals, like, I'd be seriously pissed off, because I'd be like, okay, I've busted my A off for this company, myself and AJ Styles and Samoa Joe and everybody else, for the last 10 years of this company's existence to get to where it is today, and then you bring in a bunch of guys from the WWE who are past their prime, or guys who don't really have a good, track record of being, reliable or responsible. You bring these guys in and just shower them with main event spots on pay-per-views, give them countless title reigns, give them tremendous, amount of TV time on the Impact shows, let them hog it all and everything else, and you just kick us to the curb and have these guys to bury us who built your company. I'd be seriously pissed off if I was a TNA original fan working in TNA right now. I'd be pissed off, and I'd be like, you know what? Screw you, Dixie. Screw you, Hogan. Screw you, Russo, Bischoff. Screw the entire TNA company. I'm going elsewhere, because I think it's a load of bull. I've busted my A to get this company where it is today, and I'm getting no payoff for it. I'd be done with it. I'd watch TNA if I was a talent, and I just go. I just go. And that's what I don't like with TNA, what they do. TNA never make their own stars, and they never make their stars out to be a big deal or seem just as big or important as former WWE, WCW stars, whoever they bring in from former big companies. They never let their wrestlers look just as big or as important as they are, and that is a problem. That is a problem. It's not going to hurt Sting if AJ Styles beats him, and AJ Styles has beaten Sting, but I'm just giving some examples, just throwing some stuff out here. It's not going to hurt Sting if, AJ Styles beats him 3 times in a row at back-to-back pay-per-view. It's not going to hurt Jeff Hardy if he loses to Bobby Roode. It's not going to hurt Kurt Angle or Hulk Hogan if they lose to Samoa Joe. It's not going to hurt them, because they're already established stars. They're stars that are already loved and adored by so many fans. People are still going to love them because, they've made it. And I just think it's really unfair for TNA to treat their own talent like that, where it's just like, okay, yeah, we just use you guys as slaves to pretty much lay the foundation work for this company, but now that this company is now on its own 2 legs and its own 2 feet, and it can stand by itself, we're just going to kick you to the curb and replace you with a whole bunch of stars from another company that we didn't make. Just completely idiotic to me, And after last night's main event, how they ended at Bound for Glory, I've completely lost faith in TNA and making new stars. My hopes of TNA being able to birth or make new stars, it's gone. It's out the window, and it will never, I guarantee, it will never come back. Never come back. The only homegrown star that TNA has made themselves is AJ Styles. That's it. AJ Styles is the only one. Okay, yeah, you can put in Beer Money as a cohesive tag team. You can put America's Most Wanted as a cohesive tag team. You can put Chris Sabin or Petey Williams or Awesome Kong. Yeah, there's stars that TNA kind of made, but I'm talking about like the holy deal, like I'm talking about like an established star. Like AJ Styles is like the only one. I'm talking about established stars in terms of main eventers. AJ Styles is the only one. And you can't throw Samoa Joe in there because everything that Samoa Joe has done in TNA, he's done in Ring of Honor. How Joe is, how he wrestles, his character, his gimmick, it's not anything different from what he's done in Ring of Honor. Only difference is that Joe was able to showcase his abilities and his talents, or his character or gimmick, whatever you want to call it, on a bigger scale than TNA, other than Ring of Honor. That's the only difference, because more people obviously would know more about TNA and can catch TNA more so than they would Ring of Honor wrestling. So you can't throw Samoa Joe in there. TNA didn't make Samoa Joe. He's not a homegrown talent. Samoa Joe is, like I said, he's done his thing. Same stuff he's been doing in TNA, he's done in Ring of Honor, so you can't throw him in there. AJ Styles is the only homegrown talent TNA has made, and after last night, I firmly believe in my heart of hearts that AJ Styles is the first and last and only star, homegrown star, that TNA has, will, and forever will make. AJ Styles, that's it, nobody else. Because I don't understand, how can you have a guy, like I said in my rant video last night, how can you have a guy who wins the Bound for Glory series, you show video clips of his family and friends, showing video clips of Bobby getting ready and prepared, making this a huge big deal. People are behind him. People are supporting him. The hardcore TNA fans obviously love him because he is an original, great wrestler. Got a look. To me, he has the look and everything else, all the capabilities, regardless of what Hogan said the last couple of days ago. And you have him lose? That right there, I just lost all faith in TNA and being able to create and be able to create new stars when he lost last night at the pay-per-view. I lost it. I lost all faith in TNA being able to create new stars. And this was Bobby Roode's whole build and him becoming world champion. This was TNA's second chance. This was their second chance. After the whole screw up thing at Victory Road with Jeff Hardy, when that turned a lot of hardcore TNA fans away from the product. Like there are a lot of hardcore TNA fans that I know personally and through the YWC that I know personally, where that whole screw job at Victory Road, it turned them completely sour to where they literally stopped watching the product altogether. But because of Bobby Roode, they were interested in possibly coming back and watching TNA again. This was TNA's second chance to get back those fans that they might have lost during or that they have lost during the Jeff Hardy Victory Road screw job thing. This was their second chance to get it right. This was their second chance to get those fans back that they might have lost during that first incident. And what did TNA do? They panicked at the last minute. They freaking fumbled. Gone. And people. And so I saw some reviews on pay-per-view last night from various people, and some people are like, well, it could be in something where Bobby wins, next month or whatever. You know what? It doesn't matter anymore. It does not matter anymore. All the build that Bobby had leading into Bound for Glory last night, he should have won. He should have won. There should not have been a question in anybody's mind, in the creative team, Hogan's mind, Dixie's mind, that, we're not going to let Bobby win. Bobby should have won. He should have won. There's no excuse. There's no way. And if Bobby does win next month, or, the next 2 or 3 months or whatever next year, like I said in my rant video, it won't mean anything. Because you won't have that same build, that same type of anticipation, that same adrenaline, that same excitement or interest or emotional investment in that character like they had with Bobby leading up to Bound for Glory. It won't be the same, and it's not going to be the same. And because of that last night, because Bobby did not win last night, like I said, I lost hope in TNA altogether in creating their own homegrown talent, but also as well, I became sour with TNA to where I'm boycotting TNA. I'm not gonna watch TNA for a while. Pay-per-views, Impact shows, I'm not gonna watch TNA for a while, for a long time. I'm serious when dead serious when I say you're looking at like 6 months. I'm not gonna watch TNA. You know, TNA has to do a complete overhaul. They have to reboot. I mean reboot. TNA needs to get their SHIT together. They really do. Because they keep dropping the ball just too many times. Just keep fumbling and tripping over themselves. I mean, WWE plays safe a little bit too much to where, you know, the product gets boring because they just play it safe for you know, so long. But TNA just drops the ball. But very rarely does WWE drop the ball and fumble with it. Okay? I like the walkout storyline that I think they kind of dropped the ball on. But however, TNA, it's a pattern. They continue to just drop the ball each and every time. They continue to fumble continuously. They continue to fumble and they continue to fall. And it's like, you know what? You're not gonna last, you know. And like I said, I'm not a hardcore TNA fan. I'm not a hardcore WWE fan. I'm a wrestling fan in general. But, you know, just growing up and watching wrestling and how wrestling was with me when I was a kid growing up and as a teenager, it was good. And looking at wrestling currently now in today's generation, I'm disappointed with wrestling today. I really am. I'm disappointed in wrestling today. You know, now I'm not saying, you know, I'm going to turn away from wrestling and go to UFC. I'm a UFC fan, and I do watch UFC as well as I own UFC video games and pay-per-views. So I'm not saying I'm going to turn away from wrestling or anything like that or just boycott it altogether. I'm still a wrestling fan. I was born into wrestling or born into watching wrestling. I grew up watching wrestling with my oldest 2 siblings and my mother. So, you know, I'll always be a wrestling fan, you know, and I'm going to watch Raw tonight. But it's just like, it just comes a time where it's just like, can anybody get it right? It's like, can somebody just please wake up and smell the coffee? It's like, what are you doing? Like, it's a mess backstage, and you're letting it overflow, you know, on your televised product, and where everyone's seeing it, and it's just like, it's a mess. You know, wrestling is bad right now. Wrestling is bad right now. Today's generation in wrestling is bad. And, you know, people, you know, knock Ring of Honor all day. People can say Ring of Honor is crap. Ring of Honor is this and that. But you know what? That's one company I have always had faith in, and I still have faith in Ring of Honor Wrestling. You know, and that is a company I'm proud to say that I am a Ring of Honor mark. Call me a sellout, I don't care. I love Ring of Honor Wrestling. Because you know why I love Ring of Honor Wrestling is because from the day I've been a loyal fan of that company since that company came into existence. One thing that Ring of Honor has done, I'm not saying Ring of Honor is perfect. Ring of Honor, like I said, they've done some stuff, you know, that kind of didn't make sense or were stupid. They've done some stuff, so I'm not avoiding out and saying TNA and WWE need to get their act together, and Ring of Honor is just perfect. Ring of Honor is not perfect, because I think no wrestling company is perfect. All wrestling companies have their ups and downs. But one thing that I think that's kept Ring of Honor so popular amongst its fans and what's kept Ring of Honor thriving is that Ring of Honor, they have their own color. You know what I mean by that? They're not looking at TNA and WWE and saying, okay, how can I differ myself from TNA and WWE? No, Ring of Honor focus on themselves. They know they're different. They know what they do is different from either company, and they just focus on that and focus on how they can elevate, elevate their game, not looking at what TNA does. Because TNA is doing this, so maybe we should do that. WWE is doing this, and WWE, so we should be doing this. They're not doing that. ROH focus on themselves. And another thing I always loved about ROH too is that ROH always had the knack for making talent and for always being able to replace top talent that may go elsewhere, whether it be TNA or WWE. When Ring of Honor had what's his name, CM Punk, not CM Punk, but Samoa Joe. When Samoa Joe was like one of their top guys, and when he left the TNA, who stepped up? CM Punk stepped up. When CM Punk stepped up, when CM Punk left, they had guys like Austin Aries who stepped up, guys like Daniel Bryan who stepped up. When those guys left, you had guys like Tyler Black who stepped up. When Tyler Black left, you had guys like what's his name? Eddie Edwards who stepped up. After Eddie Edwards, all the Eddie Edwards are still in ROH, but still, Eddie Edwards. Now you've got Davey Richards, who's now stepped up to the plate in Ring of Honor Wrestling. So, Ring of Honor, unlike TNA and WWE, Ring of Honor have always had the capability in a way of making new stars and being able to replace those stars if those stars, should leave Ring of Honor and do the, like I said, to go to WWE or TNA. They've always had the capability of taking other stars, building them up to replace and fill that void. That's one of the things I've always loved about Ring of Honor, and that's something that I can say that Ring of Honor has an edge on other than WWE or TNA. Ring of Honor makes their own homegrown stars. Ring of Honor, they're consistent with their stars that they push. They don't push them and then pull them back. They once Ring of Honor is behind their talent, they push their talent until they ride their talent until the wheels fall off. That's just how they are, and I give Ring of Honor credit for that. And I don't care what anyone says about that. That's just the God honest truth. Ring of Honor has the best wrestling. Yes, the storylines aren't, some of the storylines may not be the very best in the world, but that's because they say themselves, storylines takes a back seat. Their thing is professional wrestling. And some people say, well, if it's all wrestling, it's going to be completely boring. And I do think you need some type of story to intrigue the fans, in order to get them into the wrestling and be excited with it. Because I'm not saying, you get in the ring, you just fight. But Ring of Honor is not like that, okay? Ring of Honor does have storylines. Some of the storylines, like I said, is a bit of a lackluster sometimes, but they do have a storyline. It's not like they just get in the ring and wrestle for no periodic reason. They have reasons. Their guys have reasons for why they wrestle in the ring. But you do get some good wrestling, unlike WWE or TNA, where it's 10 minutes of wrestling, an hour and 40 minutes of promos and talking and backstage segments. That's just how it is. People can call Ring of Honor whatever it is, overrated, underrated, doesn't matter. Because you know what? The current stars that you like in TNA and in WWE came from Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor made those guys, okay? TNA and WWE, all they've done was take the talent that ROH made and just put them up and just put them under a bigger microscope. That's all these two companies have done. That's all these two companies have done. You look at AJ Styles, Beer Money, Samoa Joe, the Motor City Machine Guns, Christopher Daniels, Ring of Honor. Their style in wrestling, how they wrestle in TNA, they wrestled in Ring of Honor. They got it from Ring of Honor. Guys in WWE, Evan Bourne, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Wade Barrett, I'm trying to say somebody else, Wade Barrett, he hasn't debuted on TV yet, but Tyler Black, Claudio, who also came from ROH, who has not debuted yet, but still. These guys' roots go back to Ring of Honor Wrestling. Austin Aries, Ring of Honor Wrestling. So, Ring of Honor has Jay Lethal, Ring of Honor. So, Ring of Honor has a very, great track record in building and making stars. That's one thing I think Ring of Honor has the edge upon the other two companies. Ring of Honor can and has never had a problem in making and establishing new stars. Even when those stars go off to leave, they've always had a knack and a way of taking stars and building them up to replace and fill that void of that former big star that left to go elsewhere. Just how it is. So Ring of Honor for me is just, they're really my only hope. It's like, as a wrestling fan, it's like Ring of Honor is my only life support in anything good in current wrestling of today. Because, I mean, the wrestling of today is just, it sucks. It really sucks. And, like I said, I'm not being a tweener about it. I'm not being overly emotional. I'm not being emotional or anything like that. It's just frustrated about it. That's all. And I'm just kind of venting on these two videos. That's all. Like I said, I will watch Raw tonight. I still watch WWE. I'll always watch ROH. TNA, as of the crap they pulled last night, like I said, good pay-per-view, but the conclusion to that pay-per-view, the way it ended, it put a bad taste in my mouth for the pay-per-view and for just TNA as a company as a whole. Having Bobby Roode not win at all, that was just, after that fantastic build-up, and Bobby not winning, oh man, that was disappointing. That was disappointing. That was a letdown. That was frustration. All of those feelings I felt for TNA, and at the same time I felt bad because that was a wake-up call for me right there. When Bobby did not win, that was a wake-up call for me saying that, you know what, TNA is hopeless. I have no more hope in TNA. I still will want them to thrive and survive because I think that it's for the wrestling business in general, it's better to have more prominent companies. But for TNA to say, want to elevate up to the next level, or TNA building new stars. When I say new stars, I mean their own homegrown stars. When it comes to those aspects, I've lost complete and utter hope or respect or whatever for TNA. That's gone, and that will never come back. They're pushing Crimson and stuff. I don't even care that they push Crimson now, because you know what, they might drop the ball on them too, just like they did with Bobby Roode. So it doesn't matter. So I'm just so these are just, like I said, my just frustrations with today's generations of wrestling. It's like, what the hell happened? What happened when you had good storylines that made you emotionally invested, stories that always wanted to keep you in tune and involved and wanted to know what's going to happen next? What happened to those good feelings? What happened to the star-stacked roster that we had back in the day? When WCW, we had Sting and Goldberg, Nash and Hall and DDP and Harlem Heat and Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, Ric Flair, and Billy Kidman. What happened to, in WWE, you had like The Rock and the Austin and New Age Outlaws, Triple H, and Undertaker, and Shawn Michaels? What happened to the star-studded talent in wrestling today? Like, what has happened? I don't know. I'm just, like I said, just frustrated about it. When you're a wrestling fan, for anybody who was growing up in wrestling, my age bracket or older, and you seeing when wrestling was good and at its best, and then you see how wrestling is currently now today, it's like, what the blue hell happened? It's like, this was so good. This was magical. This was awesome. But like, it just made one left turn and just, it's like it, I don't know, it's like a plane, like it just went up and up and up and up and up, and it just suddenly just started to decline until it just crashed and burned. So, this is just my frustration. with today's wrestling. Part 2 when I talk about TNA, and obviously just a little bit of other things besides TNA. So let me know what you guys think about this topic. Excuse me. Comment, subscribe, like the vid. Also watch part 1 where I talk about my frustrations and stuff with today's wrestling pertaining to WWE. So yeah, peace out guys. Have a good day.